use her. I can't put her in no position to where she can run for some office. I can't leverage whether or not she's going to join a sorority and then make the right connections in order to be able to get into a certain position to where I can leverage that relationship in order to continue to come up. I can't leverage her net worth in order to continue to run it up. Maybe, hey, listen, maybe I'm just a capitalist to my core, and I'm not ashamed to say that I am. Maybe I am a straight up red-blooded American that loves steak, and I'm a capitalist to my core. But if I can't leverage you, I have no use for you. I don't give a fuck about how wide your mouth is, whether you can swallow a Coke can. I'm not impressed with how much you can twerk. I don't give a fuck about how old you are. None of that stuff matters to me. Can I leverage you in order to continue to get to a better bag? And will you be more successful as a result of joining my team? That's the conversation that I'm interested in having. I don't give a fuck about where you from. I don't care about if you are Colombia or whether or not you got on a bodysuit. What do I care? I'm trying to take over the world. It ain't a piece of pussy in the world that's going to then help me leverage a different relationship as far as whether or not I can put you in a power position or whether or not you can get me more money as far as your ability to be able to communicate and being able to be friends with her wife and then bring me more money as a result of me doing business with her husband. I don't give a fuck about what your pussy is doing. I want everything. I want the entire power structure. My goal is to have my daughter controlling the world. Now, whether or not she do that or not, that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm genuinely focused on legacy with regard to how can I control and change the dynamics of what is going on for the people that's the most meaningful to me? And it ain't a piece of pussy out here in the world that will entice me to overstep and then make the decision to roll with that over what it is that I can do as far as using this from a power perspective. I don't want to surround myself with women just because they fly. Yeah, that may be cool for me to be able to do a podcast because you give me the inspiration to have certain conversations. But outside of that, get the fuck out of my studio. I don't care nothing about you. What makes you think that I care about you other than whatever it is that I needed you for inspiration for at that particular time? If all you have to offer me is submission and looks. Listen, submission for me is not enough. Submission for me is not enough. I need you to be working. I need you to figure out how it is that you can level up, communicate more effectively. How can you network? Who is it that you connected to? Who is your father? And what does your father do for a living? Because we may need to leverage your father in order to get in certain industries. I want to know. See, you looking at her father to try to figure out whether or not he raised her right. I'm looking at her father to figure out whether or not I can do business with him. We got the game all wrong. And so because we got the game all wrong, we unintentional with regard to who it is that we aligning ourselves with. Yo, we on a no plan, fam. Everybody having the wrong conversations. Let me ask you a question. If Dr. Umar Johnson had the right connections, how much faster would that school have got built? Let's say, for example, we remove any bias that you may have against him as far as how you feel about whether or not he's using the money, whether or not he's finessing, whatever. Remove that complete conversation out of the remove it out of the conversation. If he had the right people and the right connections, and he really was intentional about doing this thing that's in the best interest of the people that he's really passionate about, if he had the right connections and he was really focused and he wasn't trying to be a solo artist out here, how much faster could he be successful as far as what it is that he's saying that his purpose is for the community versus otherwise? How come all of these pro-black people have no power? None of them. They have no power. They can't get a law passed. They can protest all that they want. Ain't none of them married. They ain't never got no relationships that's worth anything. They ain't connected to nobody. Ain't nobody fucking with them. And then every single last one of them got a crowdsource. We got to figure out how we can go to the people, power to the people. And it's the same thing. Next decade. New guy. It's going to be somebody to replace Umar Johnson. It's going to be somebody to replace him. It's going to be somebody to replace him. But nobody actually has any real power. They can't get a law passed. They can't get no reparations. They over there begging and everything like that. Listen, there's people that have power that got the same skin color as them, And they never ever had to give a speech or lift a finger, and they never even sold their soul as a result of it. The only thing that they were doing was they were intentional, and they knew how to communicate, and they knew exactly where it is that they needed to be and what relationships that they needed to foster, including the person that they was laying next to every day, in order to get to where they wanted to go. And they have more power, and they can change your life with the stroke of a pen versus what it is that we saying here on the internet every day. These are the conversations that they're having in their households that you're not privy to. When you look at the Ben Shapiros, right? When you look at the Jewish community, when you look at all of these people that are in these high-ranking positions, it's not based off of color. It's based off of culture. It's based off of mindset. When you have a conversation with these people and they put you in the bullpen, and a lot of people not even familiar with the bullpen, they're evaluating whether or not you're going to be a part of the in club. Whether or not you can be included in the ability to be able to draw off the power that they've already attained, and whether or not you're going to add value into their life. Whether or not you can marry their daughter, depending on who you're going to be in your future. Are you a person that is going to ultimately do the right thing? Are you a person that's ultimately going to do the thing that's best for the culture of what it is that they're building within their own communities? It ain't based off of color. You have access, but you don't have access because you're not accessible. You're not the type of person that they want to be around because you don't have the character, the morals. You're not the type of person that they want to work with. You're the type of person that talk too much, do too much. You got too much to say. You're not necessarily adding no value, and you can't become a part of the in club. They don't want you marrying their daughter because they know that their daughter has to marry somebody else that's a part of the power structure that ultimately continue to add value. We having the wrong conversations, fam. We having the wrong conversations, fam. We vetting our women wrong. We're vetting them wrong. And one of the reasons why we will never, ever, there's a large majority of people that's going to hear this conversation and they never going to be able to make the adjustment. They never going to be able to pivot. The women are never going to be able to choose a man based off of what's best for her future and what's based off of really where it is that she's looking to go. And the men are never going to be able to pick the women based off of what it is that he's supposed to be doing and how much more powerful he can be and how much greater his legacy could be. You know why? Because A, we can't get past being able to overlook what's between our legs and how it is that we need to service ourselves and who could be a part of that conversation. Y'all, listen, 2 years from now, there's people that's still going to be having these conversations based off of who cheated on who, whether or not you're going to stay, whether or not this person is for the streets, how much money that they bring to the table, whether or not a man is masculine, traditional roles, women that got children out of wedlock, all of this other type of stuff, and you still not going to be able to vet a woman effectively. You still not going to be able to tell the difference. You still going to be having conversations based off of whether or not marriage makes sense or not. Why do you think that the alphabet community absolutely, positively, 100% advocated for, and it wasn't the people that was on the streets. They were just the puppets. They were the people that was a part of the agenda. They was the ones that was the most visible. The people that was really changing the laws and advocating for marriage between gay couples had nothing to do with the people that was on the streets that was protesting it. Why do you think that was such an important thing? Why do you think that the concentration of power was so important with regard to these people that are now being adopted into the Senate and legislative branches? I just seen yesterday Kamala Harris swearing a person that was a part of her cabinet that was a part of the alphabet community. Why do you think that that was so important? Why do you think that power, listen, if marriage wasn't important, then why did they protest for it so